Hey everybody, how's it going? Me, Matt. New Toronto Raptors Open Gym episode just came out. Just gonna watch through it with you guys. I thought that'd be a fun piece of content to do, so I'm just gonna do a reaction bit to this video here. Game-changing moves that shaped the Toronto Raptors legacy. If you guys enjoy this video in any way, please do not forget to like and subscribe. I am almost at 200 subscribers. I appreciate it. Let's get straight into the video. See what they got in this one.
To play in Canada, to play for the Raptors, it would have been amazing, and timing was better. It would have been fantastic to experience it.
I'm thrilled that Masai, came back to the organization.
Wow, I'm home. Brian is my guy. To come and take over from him, was bittersweet for me.
The strategy around how Bobby uses the cap and watching Masai be able to take risks.
I was told, hey, pack your bags.
Looking back, it was hard.
I was like, bro, I think I'm gonna get traded here.
Looks like this episode's gonna be about some trades.
You're simultaneously trying to create a culture of family,
building up rosters throughout the years.
But at the same time, you have to have an eye on towards what's the fit of the team and how can this team win best.
Tell you what, that's the toughest part of the business, man.
Focusing on Masai, Bobby here. Big moves.
We tried to get Steve Nash in free agency.
We had a meeting set with the Raptors July 1st in New York City in Mr. Tannenbaum's apartment.
Steve Nash to the Raptors, imagine that.
Canadians have a long tradition of making a big impact on the world stage. We don't gloat.
Arguably
all that
the
much,
best
but what we
Canadian
do is
basketball
always
player.
how proud we are of
Playing
where
for the
we have come
Canadian team
from.
would have been dope.
Credit to internal production. You guys put together such an unbelievable recruitment video. Wayne Gretzky stepped in and was kind of the narrator of the piece.
Hard work, tenacity, and tremendous upside. They're the trademarks of Canada's team. They're the trademarks of the Toronto Raptors.
We closed with Wayne talking to Steve directly.
Steve,
Wow.
take a chance. You're going to love living in Toronto. I know you love Canada, and being a Raptor would be something very special.
I don't
Even
know if
had
I can
Wayne
remember
Gretzky on the
shot,
poll.
but I can remember the feeling.
It was so impactful, it moved Steve to tears.
It was emotional. I mean, I was going through a tricky period in my life. This opportunity meant a lot to me, but there was another opportunity that had to come first. The reality is, I was going through a divorce at the time, and my kids were in Phoenix. While you're going through that transition, there's a lot of unknowns. You're trying to figure out how I can see my kids as often as possible. That was really the reason I didn't end up in Toronto, was that I wanted to be close to my kids. To play in Canada.
Fair enough. You can't hate him for that. Wanted to stay in Phoenix for his family, for his children. Well, I guess his children, yeah. Can't hate him too. Can't hate too much there. Understood why Steve Nash stayed on the West Coast.
Play for the Raptors, to play in front of those fans in that
Would have been
arena,
cool though.
arena
Would have been
would
something really
amazing.
neat to see.
Timing was better. It would have been fantastic to experience it.
Never got to see that jersey on the court.
Once we did not get Steve, we had to pivot. And when we pivoted, we went back to a trade conversation that I had with Houston. Analytics said
Kyle Lowry
was one of the most efficient players in the game at the point guard position. I believe we had him ranked in the top 5 as far as efficiency, and we basically, made the argument internally that, if you can get your hands on a player like that and unleash him, he would deliver for us. Seeing what Kyle brought in the way of talent and just his engine, he had an engine.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were originally looking at Steve Nash and then pivoted to Kyle Lowry. I didn't know that. Man, it makes you think what could have been. Like obviously, I'm happy we have Kyle Lowry. He'll have a statue in his jersey hung one day. But it makes you wonder. It makes you think. What if Steve Nash came? fuck it would have been sick if they could have gotten both, but it doesn't seem like that was the situation.
It wasn't always going in the same direction as everybody else, but it was an engine.
When he first got there, Jose Calderon, bless his heart, was starting before Cal. Cal would come in every day and made it his mission.
Bro, who remembers
to kick
Jose
before
Calderon?
Jose's butt. He'd pick up Jose full court, made life hard for him.
Back when this version of the Raptors came to be, when Kyle Lowry first joined, that's when I first really started to pick up the game of like basketball and NBA and like Raptors. Before that, I'd be watching some games here and there. I knew players, so there's gonna be like a lot of players throughout this episode here that like I know and some and I watched growing up, and some that like I have no clue. And I'm sure for like newer Raptors fans, it'll be the same way. Go back and learn a bit of history.
But that was the first notion. Okay, this is something special here.
I really got into Toronto Raptors ball around like
talented. He was a great piece to have. It took
08, 09.
Coaching staff to adapt to him, but I'm really proud of Kyle and what he was able to.
I would watch games before, but I'd be a little more in and out at that younger age, right? I was born in '99.
You know, I don't really care about the outside criticism as much as I do the inside criticism. And we had a new CEO at the time, Tim Lywicki, who pretty much threw water all over me for that reason, and that reason alone, giving up a pick during that rebuilding process. You look back at some of those things and you just say, you know, why did it happen? You know, where were things going? At the time, I felt like, once again, we needed that higher level or higher caliber point guard. You know, again, no offense to Jose Calderon. I love Jose. This was about going to that next level. And Kyle was going to do that, but it is what it is. And ultimately, that led to Masai being hired.
And I think that was the right decision.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm thrilled that Masai
I remember
came back to
this.
the organization, you know, after I had brought him in much earlier.
Wow. I'm overwhelmed. I can't. I don't even know where to start. I don't have anything written, guys. I'm going to speak straight from my heart. I'm home. I came home, and Brian is my guy. To come and take over from him, you know, was really like bittersweet for me, because I knew this was a great job. You know, like he had set it up, and I wanted to do good.
I think hiring Masai Ujiri and then subsequently Bobby Webster too, if you don't make those two huge acquisitions for your front office, I don't think you have the ability to be in the positions you've been in since they arrived.
Yeah.
When we get these jobs,
I agree with that statement. I don't think they would have gone for it. I feel like at that time, the Raptors needed a change. They had a new regime coming in. New GM, new president. I think it was right.
You build a team.
And I love Masai Ujiri. He's done a great job so far.
How good
Great job.
your staff is around you.
I know he's got something up his sleeve for the next couple seasons too. I know he does.
These guys were the core of like what I wanted to do. I had tried to hire Bobby in Denver, but he turned me down, so it was a challenge to go get him. How about Bobby? You know, like you know, when I was negotiating with Bobby, it's so funny. I was negotiating with Bobby, and every night I'd be talking to this dude, you know, like, and we'd talk about many things, and then when he finally gets the job, and Bobby shows up, you know, like Ramatu meets Bobby, and Bobby, young guy, you know, shows up, you know, like
zooming in on dude as he's talking.
Happy-go-lucky, and Ramatu is like, that's the guy.
I don't like when they do that.
Know, like
I don't like that type of cinema like zooming in on homie slowly as he's talking.
I said, yep, that's him.
The strategy around how Bobby uses the cap.
Bobby Dub.
How he's able to roster build and kind of move the pieces around. And watching Masai be able to take risks. Being unapologetic about it and just having a belief in himself and his vision. He's been known to make moves that are just like, hey, we got to do what's best for the organization, even if it's not popular.
And DeRozan and Lowry were almost part of that too.
consecutive games. They have the Lakers coming up on Sunday in LA.
We knew that something had to be done.
But then
We could feel it as a team.
they
we
won
weren't
in
really
LA.
gelling.
And something after that, they kept winning.
Over the hump. It just wasn't quite clicking the way it was.
The fit with DeMar, Rudy, and Kyle, they were all like so talented, you know, like, and it could have gone either.
Yep, I remember this moment. They almost threw away the whole team after this. But then they started getting some dubs. They changed their mind. We almost lost Lowry and DeRozan during this time period. I remember DeRozan was talking about in his new book, Above the Noise. The whole team almost clean house after this skid that they went on here.
Either way.
And something else happened.
All three of them needed the ball in their hands, and we also wanted to make a change here.
Monster trade made by the Toronto Raptors with the Sacramento Kings. It is a 7-player deal that has been proposed between the Sacramento Kings and the Toronto Raptors. The centerpiece is Rudy Gay.
Gay.
You're, going throughout the X and O's with the guy. 15 minutes later, oh, okay, you gotta go.
And right before the game.
Come on in, guys. Come on in.
Crazy seeing the old tech in these documentaries too. The old beats, the old iPhones. Masai Ujiri had a BlackBerry there in the last scene.
That part is tough. The mindset is you gotta realize it's a business and it's a job, so things like this can happen. I can't really dwell or be sad. Like, you just gotta go right into it.
It was a time Masai was coming in, and I think he was thinking about blowing things up and kind of restarting and hitting the reset button with the Toronto Raptors
after
organization.
This.
And I was told, hey, pack your bags, you'll be ready to go, we'll have a flight sent to you. I didn't know at the time how I was feeling about the trade. I don't know how I was feeling about the team and going to the team I was supposed to go to at the time. I just kind of like, all right, pack some bags, and then we'll figure it out.
Kyle had all of his boxes all boxed up in his condo, and then all at once the trade was off.
I think
thank God they didn't.
Parts, to be honest,
fuck, man, who knows where the Raptors franchise would have gone if they've done those trades. If they really would have cleaned house like they were thinking.
This high-rated IQ basketball player and weighed against all the things that sometimes he doesn't do so well, like at the time, and that trade just never happened.
He came back after that and was a mission to prove that he was great.
They went on a winning streak after that to prove everybody belonged on that team.
I was like, look, they didn't trade me, so I'm gonna still be a professional. I'm gonna do my job, and I'm gonna do my job at a higher level because I'm gonna prove to y'all that y'all probably would have been wrong if y'all would have did the move.
We would have been too. He's not fucking bullshitting.
His meaning to the team, our relationship, just really took off. We brought in the players from Sacramento. Everything just clicked after that.
Right there. Driving, finds Lowry, the break. Good.
People thought that it was a rebuilding process again with the Raptors, and that trade really
seeing Valanciunas,
perfectly.
Gravis Vasquez.
For everyone.
I remember Vasquez.
Me and Patrick Patterson, John Sams, we were solid. We just brought energy, and we like the development of DeMar DeRozan, which is it was my brother, and Kyle Lowry, a great leader. It was just like a brotherhood.
I don't know if there's
damn, bro, it's crazy to see that, all that nostalgia.
Two great players in DeMar
old
DeRozan,
jerseys, the logo,
took this
young Lowry, DeRozan,
on behalf of the organization and my teammates, we want to
Vasquez, Valanciunas.
Throughout the whole season, and I want you guys to help us unveil a banner for the division champs. On 3, could you help us count down? 3, 2, 1.
I knew there was something great in this city that just needed to come out. Like we just needed the opportunity, to build a sports team into the caliber of what We feel, that this fans, this city, this country need it. We really had to make a jump, gather some assets, and figure out, like more young pieces and more athletic players. So how many guys do we have left?
Just two.
And how many picks?
Well, two in front of us.
Players that we could get, to come and help this team and start to
Some
build
behind the
this
scenes
team.
draft
The room's
draft footage.
We're open to taking that chance.
I didn't know anything. Honestly, I thought I was gonna go undrafted back in draft night.
Norman.
Norman Powell. He says, "You guys don't tell me in 2 seconds I'm gonna pick for you."
I saw that with the 46.
Norman Powell.
Bucks draft Norman Powell, and then like I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 seconds later when they came out to announce the next pick, saying that I got traded to Toronto.
The Toronto Raptors trade the player contract of Gravis Vasquez to the Milwaukee Bucks for the rights to Norman Powell, the 46th pick in the draft, and a future first-round pick.
He was a better shooter.
That was the workup that was like literally my best workup that I had.
He could do it all in terms of his athletic ability. We felt that kind of a player
Hey,
could
Powell.
help us. G. Hello? What's up, man? Those guys really wanted you, and they put.
I really love these series and these episodes because they give you such an in-depth like background, and like you get to see footage too of like what actually written down. It's really cool. If you guys have never seen an episode of this, it's on their YouTube channel. You can go back and watch past seasons. I don't know how many they're on now, 6 or 7. They're really good. They're really entertaining. I like seeing all this behind the scenes footage that like you've never seen before, and you get the owner's mindset into picking a player and why they did what they did. Really interesting.
Put in an offer now that like where we are with this team is a little tough for us. So yes, I will. Thanks, brother. I love you too, man. Okay. Okay, I will. You too. Thanks, brother.
I know.
That's a tough one for me, man.
Looking back, it was hard, but Toronto is always gonna have a special.
He gained a little weight, bro.
No matter what.
Man, I guess like once you retire, you're owned to it. But damn.
Trying to construct this team around Kyle and DeMar. What pieces do you put to complement them to actually give them a chance?
We're building a foundation of defense, of togetherness, and this piece and Serge.
We needed this kind of athletic ability.
Baka.
We needed a power forward, big player, big game player. Was really good to bring him here.
Baka fires for 3. People they kind of forget those first few years of building. People don't remember pouring the concrete. They just remember the big, beautiful building.
No, we do remember. I remember losing to the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. I remember losing to the Washington Wizards in the playoffs. I remember losing to LeBron James, 3 or 4 times in the playoffs. I remember the build-up. No, if you were a Raptor fan there during that time, no, you remember, as he referenced, the concrete pouring of the build-up. I remember that. We remember that. Valanciunas, Lowry, Ibaka, DeRozan. Everybody was there for that, bro.
It has to be championship. And if you keep trying to achieve, like you set the standard and you try to.
Everybody remembers that shit, man.
You start to chop at it, like
Fred VanVleet.
With some luck along the way and
that era of Raptors basketball will go down in history, man. It would I don't know.
But we were very short of many things as the year.
OG Anunoby, like
we were built to go to the finals.
What they accomplished, wasn't.
A great LeBron and Kyrie.
I guess in the NBA eyes, so great, but what we did for the city and the franchise, during that period, it was hard. It was hard watching it through all those years. It was enjoyable getting all the Atlantic Division wins throughout all those seasons, but you knew once it came to the playoffs, it was always rough for the Raptors during those years. From 13 to 18. It was rough. Regular seasons were amazing to watch, but once you got into the preseason, it got tough, brother. It got tough. But no, if you were a real Raptor fan, like from the begin, like not for like from the beginning, but like from that startup, from that build up, from 2009 on, like you understood, like you were there, like you knew.
We started to reach, like a point where um, we're almost hitting our heads against the ceiling, and how do you build from there? Where do you go from?
I love how when they filmed this whole episode that during his interview time, the whole thing is him in the whip. Interviewed him the whole time, just driving around in the whip.
There, kept playing Cleveland and LeBron, and they kept beating us, and we're out in the playoffs, and yeah, you start to really pound your head against the wall and try to figure it out. Like what are we doing wrong? You get to a certain point and you
What are we doing wrong?
keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Pieces are we missing?
After they made the decision to part ways with their coach Dwayne Casey, it wasn't just going to be a coaching move. They felt like they needed to change.
Right after he won Coach of the Year too.
To get them over the hump.
Yep. He got Coach of the Year, and then boop.
Has been looking for his superstar for years. Now he's got one in Kawhi Leonard.
To make those two decisions on those two incredible people was it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. To let Dwayne Casey go, when I rank people, father figures in my life, I rank my dad, I rank Coach OBJ, second in Dwayne Casey is probably three, like somebody that a good man that really like affects you and wants good for you and has been we've made worked together, made decisions together, and here it is, like you have to do this. And hardest moments for me and DeMar too. It took me, I had to walk around a hotel at night, 2 hours, sum up enough courage to call DeMar to tell him about this, and yeah, trust me, I'm not a weak person. It's not, this is.
When this trade happened too, DeRozan was completely blindsided by this, as he highlights in his book. I believe Masai Ujiri even told him, like, don't worry, like, you're here, you're good to stay. And then a week or two later is when trade happened, and DeRozan got the phone call, and I believe he went to the beach and laid up on the sand or the hood of his car and looked up at the stars. I believe is what he said in his book after he got the trade, and was just pondering all night, didn't get any sleep. That was a weird trade for me too. At the moment it happened, the time it happened, and I saw the breaking news that we were getting Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, Gasol was coming over. I didn't know. It's just hard because I'm the type of fan personally, and I've had this conversation with all like my friends in the sports. I get very attached, like emotionally, to a franchise and to a player, and it's just hard to me to at that moment to like, kind of wrap my head around like, damn, so much DeMar DeRozan, like our franchise wouldn't have got to where it was without the assistance of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, and to take him out of the equation, I was just kind of like, damn, like yeah, even I thought, and I think a lot of other Toronto Raptors fans thought too, he was gonna end his career in Toronto. I thought he was going to. I really, really did. Lowry, maybe. I was always a little 50-50 on Lowry. Like, not on his respect and his greatness and, like, what he deserved from Toronto and gave to the city, but like I didn't think he was gonna end his career in Toronto. I hope he does come back for what he says to play for one last game, his final NBA game in Toronto, and end his career in Toronto. I hope he does. But I really thought DeMar DeRozan was gonna be that one player that, if I imagine somebody standing on top of the double decker bus holding the trophy, Larry O'Brien over Toronto, it was gonna be DeRozan, not Lowry. Like he would be part of it. You know what I mean? So that at that time, that trade really caught me off guard too, and I didn't really understand it. I wasn't really up to the knowledge or the I wasn't really aware of the game of Kawhi Leonard. Like, obviously, I knew who he was in his career, but I didn't know how Leonard at the time was going to fit in Toronto, if he even wanted to be there at the time. So, yeah, definitely when this trade out came out, I was definitely very confused by it. Over time, it took me a little longer to get more to the acquired to the trade than it did for just I recently acquired Brandon Ingram. He has signed almost a couple days immediately for a couple years at Toronto. But Kawhi we only had for the year, so that's why I was also like, you know, if he comes here for the year and let's say on the hypothetical the Raptors don't win the championship in 2019, I like what would Kawhi Leonard stay in Toronto the following year? I don't think so. I think he would have gone back. I think the exact same scenario would have played out. The Raptors don't win the championship. The Golden State Warriors do. Kawhi Leonard goes back home. The Raptors lose a great franchise player in DeMar DeRozan, and Leonard goes back home to LA. But fortunately, that's not what happened.
But these are.
Sorry, I just had to get my little rambling there, my little thoughts on that.
It's just, it tears you apart, like inside. And those two decisions there inside, like really tore me apart.
Tore me apart too, man. DeRozan was my favorite player. When he came onto the team is when I was more, like I mentioned earlier, getting into NBA basketball, paying more attention to the Raptors players, not just watching a game here and there and picking up on. I got more into it. DeRozan was really the foundation of that, for sure.
That's the sort of things that I, battle with most internally, is the balance of doing this change or making this trade worth it for what we're trying to build as a family, as a team.
Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the world at that point.
I just didn't know if he was going to fit in Toronto at the time, and if we didn't win the championship, he wasn't going to stay.
And you jump on it.
You can't acknowledge sort of a lot of the history of the Raptors without talking about the Kawhi deal.
After Kawhi came, like we just knew,
of course, it's part of history. People make the argument we never ever would have won the championship if Kawhi never came to the team.
Mental toughness in the game, the mental capacity to take it, to lose or to win,
Gasol,
keep going. That fight, that spirit, him, Kyle, Pascal, Fred, like think of those guys. Mental capacity, like the toughness, mental toughness.
Damn, bro, I didn't even mention Siakam earlier, man. I even mentioned Siakam earlier, bro. DeRozan, Lowry, Ibaka, Valanciunas, Siakam, OG, Van Vliet. Fuck, man. Owl, so many players throughout that run that just throughout that like time in history of like the Raptors, just wow. I can't believe I had him go under the radar there for me. That's a shame. There's just so many great players from that time. Delon right here.
I want to go somewhere else where I can get more playing time. Me and Norm were in a hotel playing video games, and I was like, bro, I think I'm gonna get traded here. Man, no, you're not. You never leaving. I was like, bro, I'm serious. And I was showing a text from my agent.
Being able to have those conversations around the deadline, like, do you want to be
I
traded?
never thought he was gonna stay for the rest of his career, but
you're happy with the trajectory of your career and where you're going. Like, it's gonna suck, but like I'm still rooting for you. And then when it's something like unexpected, it's like, damn.
It was painful. When you spend so much time and you put a lot of your soul and your dedication to that team, I thought everything gonna continue as it was. But right before trade deadline, I'm going to Memphis. I didn't know what to expect. First time being traded, first time going somewhere else. 6.5 years is not a short period of time, but it is what it is.
I appreciate everything.
The business.
I remember calling Jay.
The unfortunate, ugly part being a professional athlete. And it sucks, man, because like I mentioned, I get emotionally tied to franchises and players, and it sucks. You see a player and you really think like, damn, like he could run his career out here. Honest, like no crap. Like he could run his career out here. Then they don't. And then sometimes like again you bring in Kawhi Leonard who worked out and helped us get the first championship in Toronto. But then there's other times you make trades and another player comes in and it's like you don't get that emotional connection to them. they don't vibe with the city like the last player did. You guys know what I'm saying? If you're one of those fans that obviously it's hard on these guys, but it's always hard on the fans too, man. Sometimes fans like me, like you really get emotionally attached to some of these players, and you see them go, and you're like, damn, I'm still watching my team, but damn, bro.
JV, and that broke my heart, you know, like, cause here we are on the verge, but yeah, like letting JV go from like a little bit more experienced player who was a little bit more of a stretch and fit how we wanted
So
to play. That was a decision we had to make. Tell you what, that's the toughest part of the business, man.
toughest part of the
It
business.
was a long time coming in the works, but very rewarding, and it really gratified me to see him go on and add Kawhi Leonard, adding Marc Gasol in that group. Unfortunately, DeMar didn't get to enjoy it, but yet and still, I guarantee in his heart and his mind he did, because he was a big part of that group of building and winning that championship.
Damn, bro. Yeah, was. He was. He was. And people don't want to admit it. People don't want to accept it. The Raptors wouldn't have won the championship in 19 if it wasn't for what DeMar DeRozan had helped the franchise build up all those years. It just wouldn't have happened. He deserves his flowers. He deserves his flowers.
I think sometimes we have to taste success, right? And sometimes you have to fight, you know, like to get to that success, and it's not easy. You know, it's not easy to win. When I said we'll win in Toronto, people thought it was a joke, but I believed it.
Man, doing some combat here.
I believed it. I believe we'll win again in Toronto.
I'd like to see some other NBA team presidents doing this, chat. Yeah.
100%. There's nothing in my mind that tells me that we won't, and nothing in my mind that makes me believe, you know, that we won't win again here.
Huge trade, Brandon Ingram joining Toronto Raptors.
He sees a fit here. I think that's why he came here. He also loves Toronto.
There is real potential of the idea of what could happen in the future with this team and Brandon.
And fast forward all ahead to the Brandon Ingram trade.
When you preach team, you build relationships.
I was very worried about this trade. If you guys watched my earlier video on it, was it gonna work or not? But he eventually signed the deal.
Like you have to dig deep inside.
Staying with Toronto. I was worried because I didn't know if he was gonna stay or not or bounce at the end of the season, but he signed.
Their relationships with them.
It just goes to show that Masai Ujiri really does know what he's doing. Bobby Webster, they know the right strings to pull. Might suck at the end of the day for the fans and the players, but
the second part, these decisions are hard.
All about moving forward.
You have to have a lot
at the end of the day.
You know, like you have to.
The hardest part.
Things have to go your way. Sometimes we all act like we're geniuses, you know, like, but you do need luck in this business.
Exciting day for the franchise. I think it was an exciting day when we traded for him, but maybe more exciting to be able to ink Brandon to a long-term extension here. It's an important step as we rebuild this roster, continue to add talent to the core here.
More worth it now.
You want to win, you want to be successful, you need a guy like that. So I think it was a great move as they continue to build and try to figure things out.
Damn, bro, they don't even put pen to paper anymore. They put pen to tablet. I didn't know that. Call me a fucking dinosaur, like ill-informed, living under a rock. I didn't know that. No more pen to paper. It's pen to pad, pen to iPad, pen to tablet. Goddamn.
It's all about creating that environment and that culture again, and I think they're on the right page.
Brandon, obviously you can see that your guys are here, which I think is a showing of just how they're all here.
Whole team showed up, bro.
To them of just your commitment to them, but they obviously committed to you.
Well, I appreciate everybody for welcoming me with open arms. Everybody over there, they've been welcoming, and I appreciate every last one of them. I'm gonna be a big part of what they do going forward and try to be as an example every single day.
All I do is think ahead. You know, like how are you going to win? Winning on the court, winning off the court, and bringing people along. You know, how do you take people along with you as you go?
next time on Open Gym.
Here is the man that this crowd wants to see. Vince Carter would told Kenny Smith that he has 4.
Yeah, they'll be doing highlighting Vince Carter dunk contest after All-Star Weekend that just happened 2 weeks ago.
What did he do? What was that? We couldn't comprehend what we were seeing. I was just praying. Because I was like, please don't fall off this rim. That weekend was the coming
This will be a fun video to watch, guys. This will be a fun video to watch. All-Star 2016 in Toronto. I didn't go, but I was fucking one to remember.
The coldest in my 7 years it ever been in Toronto.
Like, fuck
There's so
off.
many iterations of All-Star Weekend that includes our players.
Let's go play some ball.
Oh, All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend. Alright guys, game-changing moves that shaped the Toronto Raptors' legacy. My overall thoughts on the video. I love the behind-the-scenes footage we get of Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster in the draft room, on the calls with players when being traded, seeing the behind-the-scenes build up to the Raptors throughout all those years, going from 2007 all the way to 19. We got to see clips from. Really cool video. I'm very excited for the next one. They're going to be highlighting a lot of All-Star Weekend highlights and the one from 2000, the Vince Carter dunk. But I'll leave this video down in link to it in the down in the description if you guys want to watch this video for yourselves. And yeah. Anyways, that's all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. If you did, peace out. Appreciate y'all.